All right, ladies and gentlemen, as you know, the Congressional Black Caucus recently told Benjamin Netanyahu to stop disrespecting our president. And we've had various Democratic Congress people say that they may not show up when Benjamin Netanyahu addresses the joint session of Congress in March. We know Joe Biden won't be sitting behind the Prime Minister while he speaks in his chair. He's traveling or some such thing. We know the president won't meet with Benjamin Netanyahu. And one man, New York State Assemblyman Dov Hikind of Brooklyn, New York, has now asked a congressman, a New York Democratic Congressman, Jerrold Nadler, if he could sit in his chair if he, Nadler, doesn't show up for Netanyahu's address. Assemblyman, welcome, sir.
Thank you so much. You know, it's not just about Nadler, it's about other members of Congress who are boycotting the Prime Minister of Israel. I got to tell you, Steve, I have never seen anything like this. You know, weeks ago, the issues of protocol, who they should have notified, when they should have notified, fine, we can argue about that. But 4 weeks later, the orchestrated attempt by the White House, senior aides who are not identified, criticizing the Prime Minister and undermining the Prime Minister. Almost every other day, there's something else that comes out of the White House regarding this speech. Steve, it's a speech, for God's sake. You know, what is going on? This determination to undermine the Prime Minister on an issue, Steve, that involves an existential threat to the people of Israel, to the state of Israel. It's real. This is not a minor detail, a minor issue. I mean, what are they afraid of in the White House that the Prime Minister is going to do when he's in Washington?
Well, they're afraid.
It's crazy.
They're afraid he's going to lay it out in simple terms, the reality, complete with pictures and proof, and tell the American people that it's not only Israel, it's also the United States that Iran has their sights on and would be in danger if this deal were signed. But we'll get back to all that, and the president certainly. But I want to ask you: you've reached out to Nadler? In what way, and has there been a response?
Well, we've reached out to Nadler. We now understand, maybe my asking has prompted him. He actually has now said that he is going to attend. So let me tell you, Steve, I'll take anyone's seat. I'll take a Democrat congressman from New York, Meeks. He's not showing up. There are others in New York who are not showing up. Let me tell you, Steve, this is going to be the hottest ticket ever in Washington. You know, what they have managed to do, the White House and others, is to make this speech something that no one is going to miss. The world will be watching. And again, the Prime Minister is not going to Washington to attack our president. He is our president. He is going to talk about an issue that is fundamental to the survival of Israel. Because, you know, a lot of people are concerned that our president is so desperate for a deal with Iran that, you know, it might be the kind of deal that will result in the spread of nuclear weapons throughout the Middle East.
Absolutely.
Because if Iran can develop this weapon, Saudi Arabia, many other countries, Turkey, will be interested in doing the same.
Turkey doesn't belong in NATO, and Turkey's no ally to us, if you ask me. But that's another story.
Oh, you're absolutely correct. I mean, they are. It's crazy.
Let me ask you this. Do you fear that the climate of anti-Semitism that we're seeing in Western Europe will rear its ugly head to a greater extent here because of the actions of the president in trashing Netanyahu, and now the Black Caucus saying, leave out, you know, don't disrespect our president, implying that, to me, it implies that there's something racial there. And now, if you have Democrats either not show up or walk out, I mean, what kind of message does that send to the nut jobs of the world?
By the way, Steve, it definitely doesn't contribute to better understanding and better feelings. It's become incredibly divisive. There's no question about that. And there are some real concerns in terms of something like this, increasing anti-Semitism. You know, all you need is a couple of crazies to do terrible, terrible things. And there's no question that this campaign that is going on to undermine the Prime Minister. Look, at the end of the day, Steve, Obama's worst nightmare is to have Netanyahu get reelected as the leader of Israel, which, by the way, I believe he will. That's his nightmare. That's what this is all about. but to do it in a way. By the way, if this is how we treat friends, how do we treat enemies? And the answer is, you're better off sometimes being an enemy. You know, we are so careful about the words we use with Iran that sometimes, I hate to say this, it's better to be an enemy and get treated a lot better than to be a friend. And Israel is a great friend in the Middle East with all the turmoil going on. I mean, disastrous situation all over the place. And Israel is the one that gets undermined.
But Assemblyman,
hard to believe, Steve.
Israel would have to be more than just an enemy. Israel would have to become an arm and a branch of the Muslim Brotherhood, and then they would be treated like a friend.
Yeah, exactly. You know, when it comes to Iran, Steve, watch the words, how careful we are not to say anything that will upset the mullahs in Iran, that will upset the leaders of Iran. We're so careful. When it comes to Israel, you know, you can have senior aides in the White House. Like, who are those senior aides? We don't know who they are, saying horrible things about the leader of the only democracy in the Middle East. This is what's going on under the Obama administration. And what I'm saying is, you know, why be afraid of a speech? At the end of the day, it's words. Let the prime minister come. And you know what? Can you imagine if the president of Israel, the president of the United States, from the very beginning would have said, look, I'm upset about the way it was done. Fine. But you know what? I will meet the prime minister. Imagine how we would react to that.
I cannot imagine, because that's not in this man's DNA. He has no interest in Netanyahu, and he has no interest. Look, calling the French market, kosher market attack, a random attack, and having his spokesman then follow up and say it had nothing to do with the shop being a Jewish shop, I think that speaks volumes.
Steve, I got to tell you, it's embarrassing to have watched the president say that, and then his spokespeople, both at the State Department,
right, Psaki and Ernst.
I mean, I got to tell you, I cringed when I read it. I was embarrassed that the president of the United States. I mean, this is a smart man, right?
Assemblyman, I'm out of time, but don't cringe. Fear. Don't cringe. It wasn't a miscue. Fear, because they know what they're doing, unfortunately.
They know it. Well, you know what? Then it's really scary, Steve, what's going on. And, you know, the faster Obama is out of the White House.
Well, we got about a year. We got about a year and 10 months on that. Hey, Assemblyman, good to talk to you. Let me know if you get a ticket.
Always a pleasure,
if you get an extra ticket, I'll go. The Malzbrg panel is next. Don't go away.